All right, so we're back, and this time around we're going to talk about, I get asked actually this question quite often, when to drive, when to drop, and how I make that decision. So I will tell you, for me, what I like to do, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so when I'm making that decision on whether to drive or drop, my number one is height of the ball. So if I receive a higher ball, most of the time I am going to drive my third. If I receive a lower ball, most often I will come underneath it and I will drop. There are exceptions to the rule, of course, but most of the time that's what I'm looking for. The second part is the depth of the return from my opponent. So if, let's say, the return is really deep, if I feel like I got plenty of time and I can adjust my feet, I will then drop the third shot. And if it's shorter ball and it's sitting a little high, then most definitely I am going to drive. The time when I avoid, so let's say like a must not to, is if the ball is short and really low, driving that third is pretty low percentage, or it's going to have to rise, it's going to have to come up. So that's the one that I try to stay away. So most of the time on that, I am going to be doing a third shot drop. The other one that I would say is that sometimes to make that decision driving or dropping, if the ball is coming somewhat flat and it's coming deep and I feel like I don't have that much time to back up, then the tendency is that I'm going to hold my ground and I'm going to drive the ball. So again, I am looking at what is my body best positioned for. So if I'm gonna do a third shot drop, most of the time I need to make sure that I can come underneath the ball and that I have plenty of time. When it comes to the drive, I really am looking to hit the ball about waist high. So when I receive a shorter ball that is there hanging for a little bit of time, the tendency is that I want to get up on it and I want to be able to get on top of the ball and be able to really accelerate through, which then makes my drive much more difficult for this, for the returner to hit a good volley back. So those are some of the things that I'm looking for when doing my third drive or drop option. So I'll show you here a few, and we can even talk through here. So I'll serve. And again, that one, I'm going to drop. I feel like I'm too behind the baseline. The return is coming deep. It's got a little bit of pace. So I have to make sure I position myself for it. You know? So that one is a little shorter. The return kind of stood there in the air for a little bit of time, so I had time to make that choice come up. One mistake that we see often is that when people see that ball, they tend to, especially if in their head it's kind of being hammered, you know, third shot drop, they go to the third shot drop right away. And to me, that's a missed opportunity because you could have done more damage, created more chaos on the other side of the net had you driven that ball. So remember, you don't have to drop all the time. You don't have to drive all the time. But that decision is based on how are you positioned, where your opponent is. That's the next one. So for me, if I can get a really deep serve and my opponent is now struggling to come forward, they are not all the way to that kitchen line, that is, for me, is a decision, as a no-brainer. I'm going to drive at their feet. So here we go. So that, again, is an opportunity that I will not pass. The reason why I say that is that often what I see is when somebody hits a really deep serve and then they get a short return, your opponent is struggling to get to the kitchen line. And when you give them a drop shot, is you actually helping them. You letting them off the hook. I'll show you. Here we go. So I'll do the same exact serve and I'll probably get similar return. And here we go. So now I actually gave my opponent an opportunity to get back on the point. Or had I driven that ball or my partner drives a ball, they're in trouble and we are going to now be on offense. The other one, again, is when not to drive that ball. So the one thing that happens often, people when they drive the ball and their opponent's already at the line, that's you're kind of accepting that they beat you to that line, and now you got to figure out a way to neutralize the situation and get to the kitchen. So that's why that kitchen exists, so that way when you do a drop shot, it gives you plenty of time to come in. So let's say now Chad returns a really good ball and he's going to be at the line, and you'll be able to tell by where he is on the court. So now he's already at the line. When I made contact with the ball, he's already at the kitchen line, ready to receive my ball. If I drive that ball, most likely you'll have an easy volley, and that makes my life much more difficult. So I'll show you here the same scenario, which doesn't give me time to come in. So often, when that ball, his feet are set at the kitchen line, and I have a ball that I feel like, oh, this is gonna feel good to drive. However, it feels just as good for your opponent. That defeats the purpose of driving and putting pressure on your opponent. So think about also where your opponent is on the court when they're coming in. Thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon.